Welcome to Apodia TV, and I'm happy to present the first edition of our talk show called Crossroads. Apodia, for those of you that want to know what it is the Association of OD Practitioners in East Africa. And I'd like to welcome my audience. They've traveled far and wide from across East Africa. I'd also like to welcome my panel, who will tell us who they are in a short while. But for the time now, we have a few messages and adverts from our sponsors. And who are these? This is ISAN, this is PRO, this is PRIA, and also this is Apodea. We'll be back shortly. Don't tune your dial.
Ninapomwamini kila binadamu mwishowe ananigeukia. Nimtazame nani, nimwamini nani, nani wananigeukia. Vigeugeu wananigeukia. Namwamini daktari sana amponye rafiki yangu. Anamweka kwenye life support machine. Kumbe aliaga ni pesa na kusanya.
Welcome back from the break. Again, for those of us that have just joined in, this is Apodea TV, and we are broadcasting from our studios in Tanzania, the warm heart of Africa. As earlier indicated, we're going to have a different conversation today. And as you know, Apodea TV is a TV for civil society. We're going to learn, we're going to unlearn, we're going to engage, we're going to disengage, and to relearn. And none other else than a panel of practitioners, a panel of activists, people that have traveled journeys, people that have engaged on various issues, people that have been at crossroads. And today, we're going to know what are those crossroads. So, I take this opportunity to welcome my guests from Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And they should tell us who they are. Some of these told us they're intermediaries. Others told us that they're kigeogeo. Others told us that they are gatekeepers. So we really need to know, who are these? What are they going to do? Sharing the experiences of all these journeys, because these journeys will allow us to learn and also to know how best to engage ourselves. Welcome Ananilea, welcome Omta, welcome Sarah and Nicholas. They are going to take the floor to tell us who they are and what they do. Let's begin from Ananilea, since they are hosting us in Tanzania, the warm heart of Africa.
Thank you very much. As the presenter said, my name is Ananilea Nkia. A journalist professionally, one of the 12 women who actually started one of the strong organization in Tanzania, the Tanzania Media Women's Association. This is an organization which actually promotes women and children rights through the media. I'm a media practitioner, and I believe that media has a power to transform society, to make society a better place for all people. I've worked a road where I've been able to contribute in transforming the media, because media is a product of patriarchy system in society. Media needs to be transformed. I've contributed in that kind of struggles. And in Tanzania, media today no longer ignore, marginalize, no longer ignore women and women issues. I'm proud of that. And as a result, this year, in March this year, I was given an award as one of the, this is Women Achievement Award in the category of information and communication, in recognition of my effort, tireless effort in disseminating information and messages which empowers not only the women and girls, but the information which has empowered the Tanzanians to take their charge in terms of claiming their space, in terms of holding the government accountable to the people. I am a courageous woman. I am. I don't fear things. I pursue what I believe in. And as a result of my contribution to the struggle to promote gender equality, the equality between men and women, and the freedom of women and girls specifically, the American Embassy in 2010, they named me the Tanzanian Woman of Courage. It's not a small thing. It is a road. I'm happy that not only Tanzanians have recognized my courageous character, and I'm happy about that. But I'm a person, I'm a citizen of Tanzania who believe that the media and the civil society organizations have a role to play, have a role and critical role to play to shape societies, to shape the country, to shape the world, if they are committed and they have a courage. And this is Ananilea Nkia. I'm a woman, I'm a mother, and I'm a wife. Thank you.
You've heard about Ananilea. You'll have to agree with me that she is really who she says she is. Now we'll go on to Omta to tell us who he is and what journeys he's traveled in this whole civil society engagement.
My names are Okia Omtata Okoiti, and I'm privileged and greatly honored to be here today before this eminent group of or gathering of individuals. In the village where I come from, we never see stars when the moon is full. And so today we have got a full moon here. So there's no way I can be bright on a full moon night. But all the same, I'll try. And maybe say who I am in relation to some of the things I've experienced. Growing up as a young man in the early 90s, late 80s and early 90s, we grew up under the KANU government. President Daniel Arap Moi, the Prince of Peace, was at the peak of his power. And this style of operandi, he had created a moral that if you can't stop him, therefore you are irrelevant. So that was the only morality that they did. What was possible was right. So the juggernaut of KANU and all its hang-arounds was running the country to west and didn't respect any space. So they came up with a plan to build the tallest building in Africa in Uhuru Park, the only public space in Nairobi. And of course, it was a grand scheme to grab that land. It's about, the entire park is about 100 acres. If you go down to the railway club, they wanted to steal it. One woman stood up and said, no. Wangare Maathai. And she was vilified. She was called names. She was hit under the belt. Everything, all unprintables were cast upon her. But she stood firm and said, some things are right, some things are wrong. And she succeeded, a woman alone, against all those men. And that's what gave birth to me. I realized that in one way or another, I could also contribute as an individual. And so I became a civil society individual. And I have operated as a civil society individual. And not as a transactional actor, but as a transformative actor. So to be transformative, sometimes you have to be a trickster. You don't make enemies. you convert people to what you believe. So sometimes you have to dance around obstacles so that you can get behind enemy lines to plant your messages into their minds, to create doubt into their minds, to help them see what you're saying. And the most important thing in the struggle for me has not to be oppositional, but to be propositional, whereby even your opponent begins liking you. Right now, my biggest friends in Kenya are the Kenya police. And that's as a result that there's no police station in Nairobi which I've never slept in. Right now, I've got 16 cases, the Republic versus Omtata. There were 21. I've won 5 in the course of this year. Even today, if you ask Atieno, I would not have come because I'm supposed to be in the High Court in Nairobi for a contempt of court proceedings. So I took a long time to answer her, and I talked to my lawyers, and we agreed if we can get the invitation, the air ticket, and whatever, we can get an adjournment. So we got an adjournment. I would have chosen just to come and defy the law. But when you go back, you're in a lot of trouble. So I am a trickster. I dance with my enemies without being converted. I dance with death and I live to tell about it. Today, I've received so many. The police who used to vilify me, today sent me secret dossier to tell me, can you say this about the police? Can you say this about us? There was this thing that happened one time which everybody doesn't know. When I went and chained myself and locked the police headquarters during the violence in Nairobi because they were shooting people. It was not an act of madness. It was a call to action. Because I got information from the same policeman, the intelligence wing called me and said, something very bad is going to happen. The government has set up a special unit, and we are going to have massacres in Kakamega, in Kisumu, and in Eldoret. If that happens, the military will move in and Kenya will be no more. Can you stop it? I said, how do I stop it? I called friends in civil society. Everybody was afraid. Nairobi had been declared a no-go zone. So I said, okay, I'll go to the basilica and pray. Then I go and sleep. God will give my way. When I woke up in the morning, I had a way. So I went very early. I had 10,000 shillings in my pocket. I had the document this fellow had given me. I went and bought a chain. I went to the supermarket that burnt down in Nairobi. And I saw the kind of chain I wanted, one that would take time to cut. And as it was being cut, I was communicating to the world. So I wanted only 7 feet. But they had nothing that could cut it because it was a chain that could not be cut. So I had to buy the whole 14 feet at 500 shillings each. That was 7,000 shillings. Then I first of all bought also, and then I also bought a padlock. I left the chain, then I bought a padlock for 2,700 shillings. A big steel padlock. I took the key to my office, then I came back. So I was left with 300 shillings. So I looked for a taxi and I said, I want to be taken to, those who know Nairobi, I want to be taken to Nairobi West. My truck, I have a truck which is stuck there and I would like to tow it. So the taxi man wanted 500 shillings. I only had 300. Nairobi was under curfew. So I negotiated and pleaded and he said, okay, I'll give you a lift. The chain was very heavy. So he accepted the 300 shillings I gave him. We took the chain and I told him, don't put it in the boot, put it on the rear seat. Because I had a plan about it. I had done my surveillance at the police headquarters. So I'd seen how the security cameras were placed and I was able to locate the blind spot. So I took my chain and the padlock and put in the taxi, and I sat on the chain. And because the chain was very heavy, I couldn't lift it. The strongest part of the human body is the waist. So I tied the chain around my waist, and left the dangling ends. So when I reached the point I had identified, first of all, I told the taxi man, I want to pick up a letter from the police headquarters on our way to Nairobi West. So when we got there, I told him, stop. The fellow I'm picking the letter from is there. Of course, there was nobody. But when he stopped, I jumped out. I had already tied the chain around my waist. And you should have seen the way the man sped off with the door of his vehicle flailing. So I dashed and I plucked it. I clamped it around the gate of the police headquarters. There was commotion, there was whatever. So they came and they tried to remove me, they could not. They ran for these cutters, they could not. They went to City Hall to get a cutter, they could not. So all along, I was reading that secret memo they had written to go and kill people. Eventually, they brought a gas cutter, and they cut me free. I was there for about 2 hours, within which time, because I didn't even tell the media, but I knew that if I would be there long enough for the media to come. I didn't even tell my wife because it could easily leak. You don't trust anybody in these kind of things. She also saw it on TV, like anybody else. So after a short while, I was able to read this testimony, and the minister for, in the evening, the minister for internal security that time, I think it was Saitoti, denied it vehemently, and all those things happened. But everybody just says, some people thought I was a madman. Some people have never understood what went on. But it was a situation whereby you have to choose between your life and the life of others. And those are the choices we need to make every day. Not in a very dramatic form, but by sometimes standing out to say that a different world is possible. And that different world that is possible is not rocket science. It just calls on us to stop, step back, and ask, where did it begin raining on us? So I've had experiences whereby one of my other area of activism is through writing. And in fact, my first act of protest was a book which I wrote when I was 18 years old in my A-levels.